welcome to In Conversation with Thabang podcast. Our intention is to move people from crisis to control. As you would see, we've just witnessed a 0.5% VAT, and then electricity went up on the 1st of April. You can just imagine how difficult it will get. And tonight we invited the economist, and he's also a PhD candidate, an HOD of the education faculty from the University of the CUT, 𝐿𝐿 Zwane Mangete. We invited him to come and talk to him to find out what is it that we can do as a country, what is it that we can do as individuals to move from crisis to control when it comes to financial issues. 𝐿𝐿 Zwane, good evening and welcome to our podcast.
Good evening, Dr. Mlobani and viewers at home.
Yes. 𝐿𝐿 Zwane, we invited you here because we wanted to talk about three important things. One, it's unemployment, and obviously that will be as a result of our economy. But again, we've got so many unemployed graduates out there. I just want to start then, 𝐿𝐿 Zwane, why do we have so many unemployed graduates according to your analysis?
Look, unemployment is categorized in different spheres of economy. There's one that will say formal unemployment, casual unemployment, and permanent unemployment. Now, once you break them down, then you come to the question of graduates. Graduates falls under the permanent unemployment with a qualification. Now, as a result of sometimes you have to link what we have studied with what the economy or the demand in the market requires. Now you find that most of the graduates, they have a duplicate of qualification that is already in existence in the market. Now there's no employment or space to employ or to absorb them in the economy. Now you have seasonal unemployment, whereby you find that now production takes place according to the season and demand of the consumers. Now, once those people have been employed and the demand decreases, then we have another unemployment as a result of that. Now, how is the solution, or what is the solution to that? Is to maintain the stability in the economy. We should move away from the seasonal products, but we have to ensure that if these people are produced, for example, let's take farmers. We know harvesting, it happens mid-June or August. Now, after that, we have to go back to the field and plow. Now, what do we do with that? Then we say that the products that we are producing, they should be secondary to other products that can be manufactured from that. That will increase employment rate. Yes.
But 𝐿𝐿 Zwane, let's take it back. I just love the way you've unpacked these different types of unemployment. Let's go back to skills. We are being told that there's a shortage of skills, and then people are coming from other countries to come and work in South Africa. Then let's look at the education system. What is it that needs to be fixed? Maybe from the primary level, secondary level, up to the tertiary level to address this issue of skills development.
Very good question. I was going to laugh about that because the problem emanates from the grassroots.
Yes.
You'll realize that now, as you are aware that the president had in Bizo with the various stakeholders to look at how do we revive ECD, early child development. Our country has neglected the upbringing of the youngsters from that age, young age, because the problem, it cannot be solved at a higher standard or level of maturity, but you start at the grassroots level. How do you instill the love of certain subjects that were called so-called difficult subjects or meant for other group of people? Now, if our ECD's development is up to scratch, then we know that those little ones, as they are at kindergartens, they are taught variety. If you look at the TikTok, you'll see that Chinese and Japanese children at the age of 6, they already know what robotics are. And in our system, a 6-year-old child, the only thing that he knows is how to switch on TV, but never she knows that how did you manufacture a TV. So we have to bring back that love of science and technology to our youngsters, and to be able to debate at a young age. If you listen to other nations, they are little ones, they can engage in issues that are affecting them daily. Now, coming back to our country, we find out negligence has been so severe to the ECD. Now, if we can improve ECD development, then when we go to the primary senior phase and the high school, then we know that we have laid a foundation that is solid. Now, 2 weeks back, I was at Mangaung at the filling station. I saw this young girl wearing beautiful uniform from the school. I was worried at this time why she's not in a class. Then as she passes by the garage, I said that, hey, how are you? Fine. And then, who are you? And then she told me, and I said, what grade are you doing? She's doing grade 10. I won't mention the school.
Yes.
Then I asked her, what subjects are you doing? You know, I was very shocked. The combination of the subject that she's doing, she said to me she was doing geography and maths literacy and what she did again and business studies. Then I asked her, what is your career path that you want to follow? She said, I don't know. Then I could not blame her or laugh at her because I could see the combination of the subjects will not yield any qualification or so. Because many schools now, what they are doing, they are more concerned about the pass rate than the quality output. Because if you find that a child is doing this combination, when she or he is in matric, after passing matric, which course will she or he follow at varsity level? So when they come to varsity, it becomes a problem. They come with this AP scores of 30, but they can't even finish the first year course because academic is not the same like high school, because at the high school they were pushed to get good marks, but at the university now you are independent, you are supposed to follow the path and career that will make you a community builder or contributor in the economy. So our system education has to be revamped, and we find out that it's going to take us years to do that, but that's where the problem lies.
In conversation with Thabang, and we are with Mgcinazwe Zwane, economist, a PhD candidate, and a HOD for the education faculty from the University of Technology in the Free State. Mgcinazwe Zwane, let's go back to the families. The families. We saw VAT went up, electricity went up. You are an economist. What would you say to an ordinary South African families? Because already we are facing a lot.
Well, we have to tighten our belts.
Yes.
The worst is yet to come. I'm telling you, the worst is yet to come, because remember, we are a developing economy.
Yes.
And in the third world country in Africa.
Yes.
And most of the things that we sell or we produce, we cannot produce them to sell locally, but we depend on the international markets for us to get the equivalent of what can be done to promote and to develop and the growth of the economy. Now let's take our minerals. We are abundantly blessed with minerals. You know, Africa is one of the continents in the whole world that has God-given minerals. You name your gold, you name your platinum, you name your core, you name your iridium, and all these products, they produce what we are now looking at now. For example, as we are sitting here, there's a product that has been manufactured with a mineral that is coming from Africa, but it is now written a name that is international name, and we have to buy it at a high price, whereas the raw materials were sent to them. But now if we say to them, let's take our raw materials and produce the finished product, no market will buy from us. That's another exploitation. Now you bring that to the local economy, you find that now, because of that, we cannot therefore sustain the growth of the economy unless we depend on the exchange rate of other currencies. As we speak now, you will find that our currency is plus minus 19 to 22 dollars, which is unfair, because at the end of the day, if you want to make sure the economy grows, then you have to ensure that people get more in terms of what they charge, and the tariffs that we pay overseas or in other European countries is very high. So that affects the employment rate and the growth. Now, if you come to the VAT was initiated for the mere fact of ensuring that the government have surplus money. As we sit now, we have a deficit in our currency, and we have a lot of loans that we have to pay to International Monetary Fund. Where will that money get from? Because at the end of the day, we are still developing economy. So as a result of that, the government has to find ways of ensuring how do we sustain and supplement those projects that they initiated. For example, the grants that we are giving to the youth, instead of creating employment, we are making them substitute of the government.
Yes.
They must rely on the government. So in order to make sure that the youth don't revolt against the government, they have to maintain and to make sure that they give them those 350 gratuity, which is, at the end of the day, still nothing. So as a consumer and a household, we have to tighten our belt because things are going to be expensive. 0.5 VAT,
Yes.
it increases. For example, we know that there are those staples that are not going to be VAT, they are VAT exempted. But if you want to buy clothes, if you want to buy other goods,
Yes.
you still have to pay more for that. And yet the income does not supplement, even the increased income does not supplement the increase in VAT. So at the end of the day, we are going to square one, whereby at the end of the day, you earn R5, but you still lose R4. So it's going to be bad, and then it's going to be tough for us in South Africa for the next 12 months.
Sure. That is one. Educate us about this American thing for just an ordinary South African to understand. We hear people talking different things that no, it's fine with America, we can survive, we can do things. How that decision by Donald Trump is going to be impactful to South Africans and our economy?
Look, Americans were very intelligent in ensuring that they become a virus of a global economy.
Yes.
Currently, our best trade partners is China,
Okay.
Germany, and Canada.
Yes.
And America is number 4.
Yes.
But because of the currency that they use, after the Second World War, they were so intelligent in ensuring that they create a currency that will be globally acceptable and as an exchange rate. Because of having a variety of currencies might confuse other nations. So then it was agreed on United Nations that they should opt for American dollar, which was stable by then after the World War. Now, they took that and manipulated the economy of the global stage by making sure that without them, there's nothing that will happen. But if you look at the nutshell, we are not actually trading with America, but we are trading with companies that are based in America. So, therefore, it's a matter of wanting to be associated with the global leader in terms of what we used to call the best economy. But if you look at how China has moved, China has become a global leader, and that has threatened America's existence. Yes. That's why you have this clown that is always telling that you'll take all the aid that is given to other countries. And then you find the countries are becoming skeptical about that, because actually it's a blessing in disguise. Why must you rely on a donation? Why can't you create your own timber building and make sure you grow your own timber? Because if the reliance on America has led to many economists and countries being controlled by America. Now, you can see how America is reacting now. Even a fabrication of lies and social lies that in South Africa we are killing our white neighbors, our farmers, which is a lie. And the recent incident here in Mangaung that was globally shown that look at the white woman being mugged and the taxi is protecting the door. So it's all about fabrication and lies. And that creates what? Uncertainty and fear. So America, one would say that yes, for us it's a global gate, because if you trade with them, then you can survive and go to other markets. But Russia has shown us that you don't need America to survive. After the Ukraine war, and America and other countries like France, they did put in sanctions against Russia. It's 3 years down the line. Russia is still surviving. China is still surviving. North Korea is still surviving. So it simply means that now, that's why Trump is so concerned about the trend, because it seems like it's a threat to them. And that will yield more fear-monger amongst developing economies. But in a nutshell, America is not what it used to be. So therefore, if you look at the products and production that are coming from America, we have motor industry, which is Asia-based dominance. We have all you name them. The only cars or motor vehicles or motorbikes that are produced in America per se it's your Ford and your Chevrolet. But most of the cars that are globally, your Nissan comes from Japan, your Suzuki, you name them. So America has no production as such, but they are the middle, intermediate transporter of the goods to other countries.
In conversations with Thabang, and we're still talking to Ntate Zwane, and we're learning a lot about this. This economy subject, it's something that there are some people who will watch TV when they report about the economy, and you still don't understand these things clearly. We're going for a short break, and after this, we continue with Ntate Zwane talking about the economy and what is it that South Africa needs to do to fix this economic thing. Like they say they can't reach the target, we have to raise this VAT so that we can maintain this and that. But what is it that we need to do to grow the economy that will create employment for the unemployed South Africans? We'll be back shortly. In Conversations with Thabang podcast, and we are still with Ntate Zwane. We're talking economy. Ntate Zwane will invite him for many times because this economy thing, man, I look at it. I remember one artist professor, he sang that song 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐒. So this economy, 𝐂𝐎𝐿𝐒 Ntate Zwane, you raised something about the incident that happened in Bloemfontein. What can you say about it? In terms of the PR, they will tell you about the PR of the country, the PR of the city. Investors are watching. I just want South Africans to understand how important it is to have the safe environment, and as communities sometimes to stand up against things that are not correct. That incident in Ntate Zwane,
well, Dr. Thabang, it's very unfortunate.
Yes.
That such incident was caught live on social media. The impact of it has negatively, I wouldn't say affected, but destroys the investors' confidence, especially in Mangaung. Remember, it was done day boat light, and people watched. Instead of people assisting, it was like a normal day, nothing to worry about. Now, the impact of that in the long run, it drives away investors because they see the area as not friendly, safe, and how do you invest in a place whereby you are not certain about the returns of your investment. And also painted the city as a crime-infested city. And that means the law, it is no longer there. There's no order and law, and therefore the criminals have taken over. So therefore, it is not safe to be around Mangaung or Bloemfontein per se, or even try to make a business because you are not sure about your safety, your investment return, and your life at the end of the day. Because it's a pity that there could not be anyone who assisted that day. She was crying hysterically, and the young man that was marked by about 4 or 6 people, like a pack of hyenas on a human being. So it shocked the world that something like this can happen in day boat light, whereby everybody sees it and nobody is acting. So it affected the economy in the sense that in the long run, the business that are in downtown, they're going to move off the area, then go to other areas within the city where it's more safer. And that simply means now the people who are working in those shops or business in that surrounding, they will have to spend more money to travel to a new area. So it's another economic mishap, and it affects again the household income, because now if you are spending 10 rand, now you are forced to spend another 10 rand to go to work because of this small and unethical behavior of thugs. And then therefore it affects the economy in a way that nobody would like to invest. And when there are no investors, there's no business. When there's no business, unemployment. Then unemployment leads to crime. So it's a vicious cycle that was needed to be nipped in the bud, but unfortunately it has been exposed. So we are wondering if the authorities will take charge and ensure that something like this never happens, not temporarily, but forever, in a long run and a long term.
Sure. Ntate Zwane, I want us to come back to the issue of the township economy. We were told, it worth so much, but still, you still see people coming to town, traveling to town for jobs or spending their money and all of that. But in the township, we've just went through a lot of things at the tax shops that were not complied, our children dying, and then there was a process of registration. What's your view about the whole thing in the township economy?
The township economy is a diamond, unpolished diamond. The only problem is the people as stakeholders who are not bringing the correct brush to clean this diamond. For example, there are 4 or 5 malls in the township.
Yes.
But now, if you go to some of the malls, there are empty spaces to let. What causes that? It is because we have this syndrome that anything that comes to town or comes from town is the best. And the owners of this shopping malls also, they are not doing more than they are supposed to do. Advertising and letting people come and experience the life. Keep the business vibe running, because if you come to town, there will be fun walk organized by these business malls.
Yes.
There will be kids, games, things that bring the family together. Now, if you go to our malls in the township in Mangaung, it's dull. There's nothing. It's a white elephant. It's only people coming to buy, and the big business don't want to invest there because they don't want to lose their returns and their image and their brand. Now, the other thing is the duplication of business. I was talking to one of my friends that if you go to Mangaung, you'll be very lucky to go to a street where there are no 2 tax shops, this informal business, when there are no 2 taverns and a bottle store, but a very few church. So it simply means that now we have a duplicate of business, and at the end of the day, the market, it is consumed by duplication, and at the end of the day, it brings now more animosity among the business holders, because you find that now if you go to Moshusha Street, you know yourself. I mean, once you enter Mangaung, the first thing that you see is a place of entertainment.
Yeah.
We won't mention their names.
Yes.
You go across, there's another one on the
Place of
left.
entertainment, yes.
You go again on the same road, there's another one on the right.
Entertainment space.
You go up, there's another one there. Same in one route. If you enter Mangaung, you are greeted by alcohol. Right? There's nothing wrong with business of selling a liquor, but how do you find a business in one road? And what are you saying to societal upliftment? That the route to go is to sell alcohol. What about other business? What about other avenues that will bring business and ensure that the economy in the township grows? We don't have to compare ourselves with Soweto or Soshanguve or Pretoria. But if you go to those areas, there is a mall. That one I will have to mention because it's an inspiring mall, Maponya Mall.
Yes.
There's a garage that sells cars in a township.
In a township.
In a township, So if Soweto can do that, why can't we have something like that? Why can't we have a gym in Mangaung, for example, a sports facilities in Mangaung that will attract the youth and bring in the investors? So as long as the authorities that are big, they don't know about how to do this and employ qualified people. One of the other things that kills the economy in the township is kind of deployment, not qualified deployment. Yes.
That is one. I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned very important issues. The issue of the LED committees, because in municipalities they will tell you that there is that office of local economic development. How would you speak to them? Because I think then what you've raised speaks to that office.
Oh, you mean that window dressing office? It's a window dressing office. They are rubber stamping.
Yeah.
When you start to see action coming from that office, you know that the media is around. But from Monday to Friday, there's no activity within the office.
Yes.
We wouldn't have a problem of unemployment youth who are graduates if that office was effective and working. Because if we can take a drive now, just now, to Mangaung, every street there will be few or youngsters standing at the corner.
Okay.
And then if we stop the car and ask their qualification, we'll be shocked. There are some artisans there. Some of them, they've done boil making. Some of them, they've got teaching degree. Some of them, they've got BCom, but they can't find employment. So what the municipality has to do, you cannot be a metro that has no plan. And then therefore you expect the residents of a city to be contributing to the upgrowth and the growth of the economy. So what needs to be done by that office is to go around and hotspot and see how best they can uplift and improve the lives of those youngsters and making sure that the economy within the township, because the future lies in the youth.
Yes.
Whether we like it or not, because if we keep on blocking their progress, the day they revolt, it will be like what happened in Egypt and in Tunisia, because they are where they are now. We are actually sitting on a ticking bomb, because the youth wants opportunity, and then we are blocking them. And the other thing that we should look into from that perspective is to how do we absorb and integrate the youngsters in the mainstream economy, because we cannot have Bondate Zwane, Bondate Morobane, who are 65, 75, still running the offices. We cannot do that. We must improve and bring the youth. How do we mentor them so that when we retire or when we die, they know the ropes? Because at the end of the day, that's why we have so many foreigners coming to our country, establishing more sustainable and profitable business, because they've been trained there where they're coming from. So they've seen opportunity that we don't see. Whereas we see, but there are no gates or keys opened for the youth to come in, because people are saying, without me, there's no you.
Sure. That's one. The issue of the entrepreneurship in South Africa. Because my belief is that entrepreneurship is one of the very important element that needs to grow young people, grow economy, and create employment. What is the problem? Because I was reading a ShopRite report about entrepreneurship, and I've seen a couple of things. One of the things that were mentioned was the demographic placement of the businesses and all of that. But what's your take on entrepreneurship?
Look, entrepreneurship is all about training skills and developing business acumen of the individual that is interested in becoming a business person. Now, we have NYDP.
NYDA, yes.
Yes, NYDA.
Yes.
That was that is sole purpose was to fund the aspiring entrepreneurs in becoming business people. What the red tape and the bureaucracy of that department has destroyed so many hopes and beliefs of youngsters. You cannot, for example, expect social and community engagement from a particular retailer, like you mentioned, ShopRite, which is one of the biggest and leading retailers in Africa.
In Africa, yes.
So you cannot therefore expect it to plow back to the community, whereas the government has a portfolio that is designed specifically in making sure and ensuring that there are entrepreneurs that are being developed, but the red tape and bureaucracy, and you end up seeing corruption taking over, that one person being funded over and over and over, but yet there are no results. So therefore, entrepreneurship, it's not a King theme, but it's something that needs a thorough planning. NYDA must go to the youth and combine. Let's have a structure, for example, a seminar where we're asking the youth, bring us portfolios that are intended to create employment. It should not be who is who and whose son was who and who knows who for him or her to get funding. Once we can eliminate favoritism, we will create entrepreneurs that are going to be sustainable and that are going to create employment. Although sometimes it's like a joke. There was this youngster, I think everybody knows about, the one during the COVID, he started an ice cream parlor. From that 350.
Yes.
Those are the people that inspire us, because the little that they got, they managed to create something out of it. Now you have millions that are sitting idling and are being returned to treasury. And then when we are asking why this money has been returned, they say there are no candidates, there was no portfolio that we received. But did they make sure that they leave the office, this comfortable air-conditioned office, to go to the youth where they are most needed. Because the youth, I've heard somebody say that I've drafted a business plan, it's gathering dust, or my business plan has been stolen. Sometimes it's very heartbreaking that you draft a business plan, you submit to the office, but your concept, it has been tweeted, but you can see this is my concept, this is my plan, but it has been given to someone of somebody who knows someone.
Yeah.
But yours, every time you query, say, no, we are still waiting for the funds. But you can see that my plan is being used somewhere, and there's no accountability. So once we can have accountability, and people should be reminded that you are there to serve, not to engage and benefit, the better will be. Then we'll have entrepreneurship, and business will be a bloom.
Sure. And that is one, maybe one of the last point that I want us to talk about. Do we have enough research or information that young people can access? For instance, you know, when you want to do a business, they will tell you it is very important for you to do a feasibility study. For instance, what kind of businesses are relevant to Bloemfontein? What kind of businesses are relevant for the Free State? You know, agriculture is one of the key things. But do we have enough information that maybe young people can say, okay, fine, I've read this, and this is the viability of my business?
There is a lot.
Yes.
The problem is the how part. Why I say the how part? You cannot give someone a motorbike license and expect him to drive a Code 14 truck. It's a chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
So what happens is that you find that now there's a lot of information on the internet, and our province is one of the biggest land province where, you know, agriculture, farming, you name your fisheries, you name your poultry. There's a lot. I remember 3 years back, there was this project in 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐕𝐄𝐑𝐒𝐊.
Yes.
about fisheries.
Yes.
I don't know what's happening. It just went in the smoke. And the water is still there. The river is still there. So there's a lot. There's a pigsty. I mean, there's a lot of projects. But the issue is the information that is being shared with the youth. The youth wants to have what we call office-based career, to wear a tie and have aircon offices. But if you look at Machhabeng, for example, there are those mines that I always complain about that are not being used. And we know what happened in Northwest at the beginning of the year and last year about the Zamazamas. But had we encouraged our youth to take career path in mining, like they were sent by the Free State government. The Free State government spent millions to send youth to China, to Europe, to Turkey, to learn all these skills. And those skills have been brought back and they are idling. They cannot do what they've been sent to study for 6 years, 7 years. So what needs to be done is to gather this knowledgeable youth and give them the starting tool, how to go about ensuring that in order for us to have this information shared by the population of the province, how do we do that? I mean, if you look at here in Bloemfontein, there are a lot of land that are idling. How about planting something? How about putting those boots, you know, and like they say in Soto, Muhoma, Mobu. So, I mean, how about that? How about coming up? We cannot be all mechanics. We cannot all be teachers. But there are those that are gifted in terms of hands-on. And they have the skills that they can do that. I mean, if you look at the TVETs, when I grew up, we used to call them Ambach School. And then there were people who were wearing short pants and the boots.
Yes.
But at the end of the month, they were earning more than the people who were wearing ties.
Ties, yes.
So we have this thing of collar career that if you are wearing a tie and a jacket, then you are making a lot of money. Only to find out you are making peanuts compared to somebody who's walking on the street. So we need to bring that confidence into our youth that it's not about wearing a tie, but it's about using your skills and a brain, God-given talent, and your hands. You can be a boil maker, you can be a plumber. Everybody needs water. Everybody uses water. You can be someone who fixes the gardens. Why can't you do that? So we have to share the information and have a career path. That it goes back to what we started with, the schools. What the schools are doing. They are feeding the learners the youngsters wrong information about career path. They want them to be professors, they want them to be doctors, they want them to be lawyers, and it is not a child's play. After all, who said the doctor is earning more money?
That is one watch. I had a conversations with one of my friends, and he said, "Mgcinazwe, no man, you must go back to schools and have a project or a campaign called an overall campaign where we teach young people the importance of working with hands, wearing an overall." And even our previous guest did mention that a lot of people in Japan and China, they have this professional job, but after work, somebody's wearing an overall and is going to do something extra. That is one. What would be your word for that young person who is broken, frustrated, sitting there and can't move, is in crisis? What would you say to that person? And maybe somebody has got some, graduation or degrees, but they are sitting there.
My parting shot will be your attitude determines your altitude. We have to change the mindset. Complaining, sitting home, idling, doing nothing will never change anything. It's like saying that yesterday it was worse, today is better, but tomorrow it might not be better than today. So the youth must start to take the ownership of their future in their own hands. They must go and knock where they think that the door will not be open. They must be innovative, and they must stop complaining. Sometimes it doesn't have to complain because people are tired of hearing people complain about the same story. For example, if you pass by here, you find people who are socially, or I call them emotional blackmail. Somebody will take a box and write, "I've got 3 kids, and no food, no clothes. Please help with donation." That's a social and emotional blackmail. How did you make the kids if you never had money? How did you start to think about planning a family if you didn't have a shelter? So when you stop at the robots, they come to you, "Can I have 20 rands?" And you said, "Fine, come with me, let's go and wash my car." The first thing that he asks you, "How much you going to pay me?" He doesn't say, "Let me go and wash the car and see how much you pay me." Because sometimes you say that, "Okay, wash my car, here's food, and then here's 100 rand." More than what he or she was expecting. But people are having more expertise and entitlement. So if our youth can reduce entitlement, that we are entitled for this, we are entitled for that. I mean, we grew up in apartheid. We never felt entitled. We had to fight for what we have. We have to strive to be educated. We have to fight to be at varsities, because we knew that that was the only way of moving out of poverty. We come from an impoverished background, but we were told one thing, that if you study and make sure that you are qualified, then you'll have a better life. Not to say that we have better lives, but we are managing according to what we were taught. So our youth, they must stop this entitlement, and then they must start to learn that in order for me to have this, I have to suffer this. So if they can change the mindset and believing that what I have, I can make it better in myself and better my future. But let me start by doing what? Change myself. We need introspection, and we need to improve. If you look yourself in the mirror and you see your reflection, what do you say? Do you say, "It's me," or do you say it's somebody else? But if you know it's you, then you can also give the reflection of that image to the community and the general public, and then people will accept you that you want to be helped.
That is what I hope my producer Shibu will put that Michael Jackson song, "Man in the Mirror." Until we meet next time, thank you, Ntate Zwane, very much. We'll invite Ntate Zwane again and continue engaging him with these economic issues so that we help South Africans and our country with information to move from crisis to control. My name is Thaba Morobani. Till we meet again next time, good evening.